And in that reason, after feasibility is done, after feasibility study is completed, then we can think about how to design the software. And once you are going to take the decision regarding the software, you have to take decision whether you will going to use the object oriented approach or function oriented approach. If we go for the object oriented approach, then you have to prepare the blueprint according to the standard model, that is called the modeling language. And we've seen that it is involved, the UML unified modeling language is involved to develop the process. So we have to design the software, we have to figure out what will be the algorithm, all these things. Once it is, and obviously it will be based on the your perspective, either object oriented or function oriented. If your perspective is function oriented, then your design will be based on the development of the function. But once you have taken the decision that, oh no, I will take the object oriented approach, then what you have to do, you have to take the UML based modeling language or any other kind of modeling language, and you will develop a blueprint. And based on that blueprint, your underlying layer, that means the coding team, will follow the develop the code, and that should be based on the kind of certain kind of object oriented language. And in your case, in our case, it will be the Python. Okay. Now, what are the features of the object oriented programming approach and also the language? What are the features? Can you remember? One by one, we have studied the 4 or 5 features. Can you remember? If you can remember one, then fine, you share it. No problem.
So, is it like encapsulation, inheritance, and
Yeah, that's
policy?
right. So, so you got the encapsulation. Other one, encapsulation is one, right?
So, inheritance,
Fine, inheritance, right?
polymorphism.
Polymorphism, fine. Any other?
So, I can remember only this.
Okay. So obviously all these things are very useful for the usability of the software. Okay. So data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. Okay. So these are the very then error handling. All these are the very basic, the important feature of the object oriented design. Okay. Also the object oriented programming. So once your focus is your focus is totally fixed on the object oriented approach, then your problem will be as per the concept of object oriented approach. So your point of view will be changed. Fine. So what you have to do first, you have to, if you remember the UML diagram, we have seen the static UML model, the static UML diagram will, what are the static UML diagram? Class and the object. Basically, class and object is a two class diagram and object diagram are the two static diagram that can define the architecture of the software, the static part of the software, how they are interacting with each other, not in a dynamic environment. If it is interacting in the live session, the dynamic environment, then you cannot work with the class diagram or object diagram. Then you need some another kind of diagram, that is maybe the activity diagram, state chart diagram. But at the initial point, you have to start, whenever you are going to solve the problem, you have to work with the class diagram. And what are the features of the class diagram? For your the understanding purpose, you need to find out the what will be the class and how we can define the class. So you have to define the class first. If you don't define the class, then you cannot go further. Okay. Then how we can define the class? Any idea?
So by class keyword.
No, no. Okay, okay. That is the class by class keyword.
Okay.
That is the syntax of the your programming language. But what will be the content of the class? How we can understand from the problem? That is my question.
Sir, if multiple things are using same kind of data or repetitive patterns, then we can group them together into a class, and then we can reuse that class for the same kind of operation instead of writing like three or four functions.
That means,
So the class will act as a blueprint, and from that we will make some instances.
yeah, that both are true. From the one perspective, both are true. Actually, the class is just 1 minute. I'm just sharing the screen. You just wait 1 minute. You just 1 minute to wait. Can you see the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we are going to define the class, we need to find out in the problem definition, we need to find out what are the noun. What are the noun? This is the common thumb rule. Okay. Because when you are going to design the function-oriented approach, you have to focus on the verb. You need to find out the verb, which are the verbs in the problem definition. But here the thing is opposite. You need to find out what are the nouns. So actually, this is the some initial guideline. Why we are focusing on the nouns? That means the noun, based on the noun, it must have some features, okay, some attributes, okay. So we need to find out the attributes associated with the noun and the function which will work on that noun. That means which will work on the attributes of the variable, attribute of that noun. Okay. So say for example, I am just box the one noun, right? Box. So what can be the attribute of the box? What can be the attribute of the box?
The size of the box.
So height and width, right? So this can be, then we can add more features. How? You just like when you are going to draw any figure in the Microsoft Word, you will get the lot of features will be provided to you. How? Suppose this is the box. Now, if this is the box, you can attribute many features. How? What will be the pattern of this line? That is one feature. What will be the length of this line? The width of this line. Okay, not the width of the box, width of this line, thickness of the line. Thickness of the line. Fine. What will be the color of this line? What will be the inner color of this box? Inner color. If you provide the inner color, what will be the transparency level? 0 to 1. So I will come to that point later. So transparency of the line, the transparency of the box. Okay. Now obviously come to the height of that box, width of the box, right? Width of the box. Okay. So all these are the defined attributes. It may be square or rectangle. We can define it. Okay. What will be the position of the box? Is it fixed or float? Fixed or float? Okay. Are you getting my point? All these are the attributes. Clear? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
These are the attributes. Now, you think about it. Can we define a fixed value for each attribute? No. This pattern, it may be dotted, maybe dot and line, like dotted means like this one. It may be dot and a straight line, dot and a straight line consecutive. Okay. It may be dashed. It may be some picture can be added. Some picture can be added. Maybe some picture. So it has the multiple value. it has some value. Thickness, you can define thickness from 1 to 5. 5 means maximum thickness, 1 means minimum thickness. Even you can add a 0. Okay. Then color, it can be defined value. If it is working with the color scheme, not a grayscale scheme, color scheme. Then 0 to 2 to the power 24. 24 possible, can be possible. And that's why when you see the palette, color palette, you have the option to select a particular point. So actually the color palette basically provide these 2 to the power 24 number of defined color set. Okay. So inner color, then thickness, all these are can be defined value. Height with all these value. Okay. Now, so this is the data member of the class. This is the data member of the class. If of the class. Data member. Okay. Now, thing is how we can assign the value, how we can modify the value. You need a set of function. That's why. So you need to assign the particular thickness. The user cannot directly provide the assign a thickness. So user must assign a thickness with help of some button or some function. When you are working in the Windows environment, it will take the some radio button box or some list or like that. So suppose this one, it is floating or fixed. How it can be taken from the user? Radio button. Okay. Radio button means if it is selected, it is 1. If it is not selected, it will be 0. So basically, underlying member value, underlying data member will take the two value, either true or false. That is the Boolean value. Okay. So like this way, all the data member has certain range of values that it can take. Okay. And that will be changed from one instance of the class to another instance of the class. Because the person A has created one object and the object pattern is like that. Okay. And person B is created the another instance of the same class, but the like this one, and it some colors also there. Okay. So these you see both are the belonging from the same class, but the different instance of the class. So this is called the object. This is called the object. And that this, how we can modify the all this value? We have to assign the value, we have to modify the value, we have to update the data member. So you need the member function. Okay. So data member and the function member or member function. Okay. So as per your, if you remember the UML class, we have seen, we have the class name, this is a box, this is a class name, then data member and member function. So it is for the one class. And how the defined class will be interact with each other in the static environment, how it will be organized, that will be done in the class diagram. So and that will be based on the not only on the class itself, it will also depends on the it will also depend on the what the dependent defined relationship among the classes. It will also depend on the defined relationship among the classes. Okay, because one class is not only associated with a single class. Okay, it may be associated with a multiple class. So in that context, we have the defined relationship model like the dependency in then association, aggregation. Can you remember? I discussed it previously. Can you remember association? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay.
হ্যাঁ স্যার শোনা যাচ্ছে স্যার।
ওকে ওকে সো রিমেম্বার মনে করতে পারছো অ্যাসোসিয়েশন ডিপেন্ডেন্সি গুলো বলেছিলাম।
ঠিক আছে স্যার।
ঠিক আছে, একবার তোমরা ইউএমএল এর বইটা যেটা আমি শেয়ার করেছিলাম ডায়াজিমাল এর বইটা আবার দেখে নেবে, তাহলে ওটা পেয়ে যাবে। ঠিক আছে, একটা ক্লাসে কিছু আলোচনা করেছিলাম। ঠিক আছে, যাই হোক। সো in the class we have the data member and the member function, and sometimes it is also called a method. Okay? In Python it is called the method. Okay, whenever we are working with the member function, it will be considered as a method. Okay. Fine. So define the class. So class is the template and the object is the defined instance of the same class. Why? Because you see, here is the class, here is the class, and this, when I am creating this one object and this is the another object, I can create another object. It's a memory. So it will be the defined. So every object will build based on the value, defined value of the attribute of the class. Okay. Now so up to this discussion, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Now I will go into the more details. So when we are going to define one class, suppose this class, for sake of simplicity, I am considering the class has the only two attributes, height and the weight, and it is an integer value. Say for example, it is integer value. Okay, so it is, what will be the size of the integer?
Yes, sir.
What is the size of the integer variable?
4 bytes.
Yes, some previous old compiler it will be 2 byte, but now new compiler is considering as a 4 byte. Okay, so it is considered 4 byte. 4 byte, and it is also 4 byte. Two have two value, so total 8 byte. Okay. Now we have some function. Suppose it is 2 byte. Also, function is 2 byte. 2 byte. Now, when we are creating the, so class is the, suppose the class is the blocks or কি প্রবলেম হচ্ছে বলো তো? Class is the box is the class. Fine. I'm creating the two box B1 and B2. Fine. Now you understand. B1, this B1 has some value B1.h and B1.h. Sorry, B1.w. Okay. Similarly, B2, this object has two variables B2.h and B2.w. That means this member, it will be 8 byte and this will be 8 byte. Okay, if we create another one, then it will be again B3 for it will be assigned, the 8 byte memory will be allocated. Okay, this is the called, this is variable is called the object variable, because when we are creating the new object, a fresh instance of the variable will be created. Okay, but if we work with the class variable, we have the certain method to declare as a class variable, to declare the variable as a class variable, that we'll see later. But here, when we are going to declare the class variable, it will be only one instance of the variable will be created. Suppose I am working with the one class variable here. Suppose this is the C1. Suppose the number of object created for that particular class. So I want to prepare a one variable. That variable will keep track how many number of objects of that particular class has been created. It will keep the track of that particular variable. How many total number of instances has been created from that particular class, that will be stored in the number of object variable. In that context, it should be declared as a class variable, not as object variable. Why? Because I want to keep track of the number of instances of the object of the class. So every time, whenever I will create the object, will create of that particular variable value will be incremented by 1. Okay, and it will be updated. So class variable will be only one instance. There is no other copy. So whenever you will modify the class variable, it will be affected. But in case of object variable, we can only access the object variable for that object. Okay. So suppose I am modifying this object variable, but it will not affect that object variable b2.h. It will not affect, because it is a two different instance. That's why I am working the two different containers. Suppose this is the one container. Okay, this is the one container, that is the b1.h, and that is the another container b2.h. Okay, so I can keep any water, milk, anything in that container, so it will not create any modification in this variable. Similarly, the reverse is also true, because the two different container variable is just like a container. Okay, but when you are working with the only one variable, the class variable, then you are working with the only one variable, and that variable is for the class box dot number of object. So every time, whenever you will create a new object, every time 1, you create another object 1, you create another object 1 plus 1 plus 1, like that. Okay, so this is the concept of class variable and the object variable. Okay, so two things are different. Okay, now I am going to, so is there any question? Are you getting my point or not? Please,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So now we are going to create the one program. Okay, so we have declared the one program. So class. So class is a syntax. So my intention is to declare one class, and within the class we will work with the one variable. Sorry, this is the declared. Here I am taking a very simple example. Okay, I have created the one class by declaring the class keyword abc. We have taken the one variable var equal to 10. Then we have created the object equal to abc. This is the creating the syntax to create the object. So that means abc bracket means object will be created for abc class. Okay. Now print object dot var. Why object dot var? Object is the class. Object is the obj is the object of the class abc, and just like here b1 dot h. So b1 was the object of the box class. Here obj is the object of the abc class. So obj dot var. Okay, and that value will be printed. Okay, we have got the 10. If I modify the value, suppose I am putting the value 3, 0, 30.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, when we are declaring that object, why are we putting a single brackets around the class name? Does that mean that we can put in some parameters there?
No, actually I will discuss it later. When we are going to create the object, actually we are calling one function to create the instance of that particular class. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
So have you studied the C++?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is a concept of creating the object and the constructor and the destructor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here when you are in the C++, when you are creating the object, what we have done? Suppose ABC is the object class, right? ABC is the class, so ABC A, right? ABC C, ABC D. So here when we are creating the class, so automatically the one with invoking the ABC bracket, okay, it will kind of the creating the we are putting the telling the compiler create the one object of the particular class. Okay. And we will immediately see we can pass that very parameter also here. We'll pass the parameter here because it is the simplest example of the class. Okay. Now on the second one. You see, what is the modification we have done here? The previous example, we have taken the only one variable, only the data member. Here there is no member function, or in the member function is not here. Okay, but here we have added the member function. Def display self. Self is just like the concept of this pointer in the C++. Okay. So self is the similar kind of things like the this pointer. So self is basically the means that even if a method that takes a no argument, it should be defined to accept the self. So when we are declaring the function display, even we are not putting the any argument within the display. So you see, what is the purpose of the display? I'm just printing one message. I'm not taking any input argument, or I am not returning any output argument, right? But we have to use the self, that particular keyword. So if you pass the two argument, then 2 plus 1 argument will be first. If we pass the one argument, then 1 plus 1 self plus the your desired argument will be passed. Okay. Actually, this self, what is the utility of the self? Actually, this self will declare, you consider, will keep track about the object, like the what I'm trying to say. So it will create when we are going to create the new the class it is, so we have to we have to create that with your self argument. Okay. Now we have defined here the two function. We have called the two function. Basically, one is the print object dot var, another one is the object dot display. What is the difference? Print object dot var directly accessing the variable value of the class. Okay. An object dot display is working as the member function. It is a member function. Object dot. So object is created. Fine. To from that object, the display will be called. Okay. If we have the another object, say obj2, when I will call the obj2 dot display, then that function will be invoked. And what will be the statement within the function display? That is the in class method. So this is called the method. So normally when we are using the member function here, so we don't use the term function, simply function, rather we will use the term method. Okay. So 10 and in class method. Okay. Yeah. Now, if I want to create the object, and I also want to initialize the value during the creation of the object. Okay. So before that, I would like to mention one point. So all of you know that defined access modifier is there in the C++. How many access modifier is there in the C++? Public, protected,
Private.
and private. So private data will be only private data member only access with the member function. Okay, can be only accessed by the member function. But protected data can be member function, some other inherited variable, the instances, classes, and public. Anyone can access the public member. You see here, this is the this one, na? Okay. So we put just a minute. Okay. So immediately you see understand the difference. When I'm writing only the var, and I want to print the object dot var. Okay, there is no problem. I'm getting the value. Fine. When I'm putting one underscore here and also here, we're getting the value. But when I put the double underscore, double underscore, ABC object has no attribute double underscore var. Why? Actually, in the Python, when I'm writing the simple, I'm writing here simple var, it is default, it is public. Default, it is public. Default, it is public. It is public. In the C++ also, default, it is public. No. In the default, in the C++, default, what is the value? Default, public or private?
So it's public, I think.
Public.
Private.
If I am not wrong, I think it is private. Most probably it is private in the C++. But when most probably, and But when we are going to declare as a public, then we have to use the keyword public or protected. In case of structure, if you remember that any structure program in the C program, structure program in the C, how you can access the structure value? Using the dot. You have created the one structure and you can assign the value, right, in a structure variable. How? From the main function. It is possible, na, in the C program.
Yes, sir.
Define the structure and assign the class nested structure or that type of things, and assign the value and access the value from the main function. How it is possible? With the public the default value, default access modifier is the public in the structure. In fact, in the structure there is no such kind of things. It is only available in the when the concept of class is introduced in the C. That's why the C++. It has most of the features that coming from the procedural oriented language, and then we have modified the C as per the requirement of the object-oriented programming language. That's why it is called the C++, augmented version of the C. Okay, so here it is the public, and when we are underscore var, it is the protected, and this is double underscore var, this is the private. Okay, this is the idea. So that's why when I am declaring the private, we cannot access this, because I want to access the print. Print is not the member function of the member method of the particular class. Okay, actually member function is called the method in the class. Okay, method of that class. So that's why we cannot access it. Okay, and now, so first two example is totally, first one is the this is the simple member function only, data member only, and second one is the to display the to work with the method of the class. Okay, so this is the simplest example of the class, which is containing the data member as well as the method. Okay, now our intention is to assign. You see here we have, when we are creating the value, when we are creating the object, in the compile time we have assigned the value. In the compile time we have assigned the value, now why? If I write here, if I create another object, obj1 equal to abc, obj2 obj2 equal to abc, obj3 abc. Okay, now I will copy the same command here. 1, 2, 3. Can you tell me what will be the output of that all the 4 print statement?
Same.
Sure.
How many of you are saying that it will be same?
So it will be same.
All of you are agree it will be same.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Why? Why it is same? Yeah, your assumption was correct.
So we can use multiple objects, but the value is same, na?
Yes, because I told the story regarding the compile time and runtime. Can you remember? So that is applicable here. So when we are creating the class, we have assigned a fixed value, one argument as a default value. That's why we are creating the class, new object, the new instances of the class. But it is coming with the same value. Same value. The point is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So can you give the one real life example related to your point of view?
স্যার আরেকবার রিপিট করুন।
Can you give one real life example for this instance? From your point, the student point of view, like the exam process or during the whatever you experience during the exam, you are copying from the same source. If there is error, that will be error. If there is a correct, there will be correct. You are copying from the same source. Suppose you have got a one, you have to submit the assignment. One of you has completed the assignment. Now everyone is copying from that assignment. What will happen? If the first one has done some mistake,
The mistake will be avoided in the second one.
a second one, and everyone will do the same mistake.
Yes, sir.
And this is a normal thing. I mean, normal scenario in the any time, specifically in the project, in assignment submission. Right? But if you, so what will be the solution? Solution, it obviously it is not desirable. You have created the class, but as per our discussion, we have the lot of option to assign the value, because you can you imagine how many number of defined box can be generated using all these defined variables. Huge number. I have taken a two example, this one and this one. We can generate a huge number of box, all the box, nothing more than this, only box, right? So we have to make the program dynamic. That means you have to take the value during the initialization of the object at a runtime. So you have to complete the initialization process not in the compile time. You have to perform the initialization process in the runtime. Point is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If it is not, then I will repeat it again. Previously, you have done the initialization process in the compile time. Okay, that's why whenever you are creating the new instance of the same class, you are getting the variable value same for all the objects. But now you want to modify the object value, the value of the attribute of the object during the creation of the object. And when the object is created, in which line the object is created? Here, in this line.
Yes, sir.
So I have to provide that value. So what is the solution? Solution is here. Sorry, here. So I will create a special kind of method. What is method? I told member function, that is method. And this method will be marked the double underscore and the init function, init keyword, init. Okay, actually this is similar of constructor in the C++. Actually I am mapping the C++ because most of you have, I think, done the C++ after the C, right? So that's why I'm just connecting the C and the C++, C++ with the Python. How many of you have done the Java?
স্যার আমি জানি কিছুটা।
Okay, fine.
স্কুলে করেছিলাম।
Achha. And how many of you know the have basic idea about the C++?
So I
জানি না ভাই।
স্কুলে করিয়েছিল।
Okay. So that's why I'm mapping. So basically, okay, if you have the no idea about the constructor, it is no problem. So basically, this initialization, this method, particular init method, is what is the purpose of the init method? This method will create the it will initialize the variable of the object during the runtime, during the creation of the object. So that's why you see here we have passed the two argument. One the self. You see it in this example. We have no, basically we have no argument. This one we have no argument, and we have passed the self keyword, self argument only. But when we have that one argument, then we'll pass the self plus that particular argument. Okay, so self comma value, and this self dot val equal to val. Okay, if we run this one, this value is 10. Now if we create the same thing here, then what will be the
স্যার আরেকবার বলুন না ওইটা, ওই ভ্যালুটা কি করে 10 হলো?
last one? You see what is the here we have every time we are getting the 30 because we have no control of the variable value of the variable during the creation of the object, because class is the value of the variable is already defined in the compile time. So what we have to do when we are creating the object, if we pass the value in that time, then every time we will get the defined value for the defined object. That is our objective. So that's why what we are doing in the third program, you see in the third program, basically here this one, we are creating the one special kind of method. Okay, and this particular method is called the similar like the constructor in the C++. So basically this init method, role of the init method is to take the variable from the user, value of the variable from the user, and assign to the value of the object variable during the creation of the object. Okay, that's why self, this argument is already we have encountered with this argument. We have to pass the, whenever we are going to create the method, we have to pass the self argument. Okay, then we'll take the value from the user. You see here we have not defined any value. We'll take it from the user and self dot val equal to val. So that value will be stored in the self dot val. Okay, so self dot val, basically self is pointing the value. Actually it is some kind, if you use the term pointing, it may be somehow correct. So when the object is created, value of that object will be assigned from the value of the val. Okay, and finally after that we are printing the val. Okay, and now we are, you see, we are passing the object equal to abc. So if we run, so during abc we have also created the abc here. but here have not passed any value, but here we are passing the value. Okay, AB object equal to ABC 10. That means when ABC, this particular function is invoked, okay, to create the object of the ABC class, 10 will be assigned to that object, obj object, obj object. So if I write the same thing here, so suppose it is 23, it is 21, and this is 67. Let's check the value. Uh-huh. Oh. Okay. 10, 23, 24, 67. Why? Because when object obj is created, we have initialized with the value 10. When obj1 is created, we have initialized with the value 23. When respectively the object, it is also applicable for the object 2 and object 3. That's why you have got the 4 different values, okay, during the initialization. Clear? So this init function method is initializing the object during the creation of the object. If you have any doubt, you please ask the question.
Sir, is it necessary always to declare the self within the init function?
Self. Yes, you have to do this.
And sir, if the thing that we are doing in the next line, that self dot val is equals to val,
Yes.
and but in the print function we are just trying to print the val. So what is the use of that self dot val is equals to val?
You see, self is, if you want to more details regarding the self, you have to understand the memory allocation of the when object is created. But the sake of simplicity, we can say, suppose the, just 1 minute. Suppose this is the ABC, okay? I have created the one class ABC, okay? But you see, when ABC is created, ABC and this is the var, okay? And this is the say for the init, int, okay? Now the thing is, for this particular val is not containing any value until it is a class data class member, the class variable, sorry, the class variable, until it is a class variable. So when I am creating the what I am doing, when I am writing the obj equal to abc, so I'm telling the compiler, I'm instructing the compiler to declare a memory phrase for this particular object, right? And whose and the size of the object will be similar of the class. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So now the question is, where will be the value? What will be the value of the val? Then either we can put from the during the compile time, or it can be taken from the runtime. Okay. Now you are telling val equal to 10. What is the meaning actually? You come to the memory allocation scheme. Then memory, suppose is the memory, okay? So in the memory, suppose 1000 starting. Suppose I am for the example, sake of simplicity, I am considering it will start from the 100. Then what will the next memory location?
1001.
1001. Then 1002. 1002, 1003. So you need a 4-byte allocation memory space for this value. For this value.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, when I am creating the OB, yes, OBG 1, the same another page is required. So when I am by, your question was why I am using the self, right? Self,
Yeah.
this particular statement, the self dot val, okay? So self dot val na equal to val.
Yes, sir.
This val is basically the value which I getting from the user, okay? And self dot val, this is defined, self is defined when we are assigning the value, when I am creating this allocation for the object. And how we can keep track about the memory, starting memory of the obj. Somehow I have to understand which memory location I am working for that object obj. So that is actually working with the self. Yeah, that is basically pointing the class itself, or the when object is creating. Point is clear or not? Okay,
Okay, sir.
clear or not?
So yes, sir. I think so. Whenever we call an instance of an object, then different memory space is allocated, and all those values are stored in different segments of that memory allocation.
Yes, every time until the your variable is not declared as a class variable. If it is a class variable, I will show it later. Then it will be only one copy will be stored. Otherwise, what will be the problem? If we don't put in the defined member, the memory location, then if you want to put it as, suppose you have created the object 1, then in that case what will be there will be the collision of the existence of the object, তাই না? তুমি when you, yeah?
তার মানে সেলফের মধ্যে ওই সব ভ্যালু গুলোই আছে, 10, 23, 24,
No, no,
67?
no, 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 obviously নয়, সেলফ মধ্যে থাকবে না। when it is creating, it is just assigning the value, then it work is done. But this object one, actually self itself is not working. Actually the self is working for that either obj or obj1, obj2 or obj3. Okay. Values, we are taking the value from here, then we are assigning a particular variable val1, and this val1 is printed here. Okay. When you are creating the object, you have to work with the particular memory location. Is it right or wrong? It is understandable. When you are creating the object, you need some allocated memory,
Yes, sir.
and self is keeping track of that memory, and it is assigning the value. When you are writing the self dot val, or it is self dot val1, that's why I'm modified the code recently. The val1, that val1 is defined variable that is different from the val. Val is taken from the user and assigning the value to the val1. Okay. Any question?
No, sir.
স্যার
হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্যার বলছি আসলে আমাদের আরো আরেকটা ক্লাস আছে 2টো থেকে, আপনি কি ছেড়ে দেবেন একটু?
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, আমি তাহলে একটা প্রোগ্রাম স্টার্ট করছিলাম, তাহলে ঠিক আছে, তাহলে এখানেই কমপ্লিট করেছি। তাহলে এইটা মোটামুটি আইডিয়া হয়ে গেছে তাহলে সবার, আশা করছি।
Yes.
কোনো কনফিউশন থাকে বলো, তাহলে আমি নতুন স্টার্ট করছি না, কিছু কনফিউশন থাকলে বলো। এটা তাহলে নেক্সট আমরা আরো কালকে তাহলে আমরা আরো কমপ্লিকেটেড পার্টে যাবো তাহলে।
স্যার এই
কোনো
মিড
কনফিউশন থাকলে বলো।
অবধি থাকবে?
হ্যাঁ বলো।
সেমে কতদূর অবধি থাকবে?
সেমিস্টারে
না মিড সেমে।
মিড সেম কবে ডেট দিয়েছে কিছু?
হ্যাঁ,
ডেট
বোধহয়।
দেয়
এই তো সোমবার থেকে।
এই সোমবার থেকে
সোমবার
মিড
থেকে
সেম?
বললো তো। হ্যাঁ, মানে অন্যান্য ডিপার্টমেন্টের তাই এলো দেখলাম, তো একসাথেই তো হবে স্যার।
সেটা তো ঠিক আছে, একটা ডিউরেশন দিয়ে দেবে, ঠিক আছে। তোমরা তাহলে এই কালকে ক্লাসটা নিই, তারপর কালকে পর্যন্ত যা থাকবে সেটা থাকবে, ঠিক আছে। কালকে পর্যন্ত যা করাবো সেটা থাকবে। কালকে তোমরা ক্লাস করছো তো নাকি? সেটা আমাকে জানিয়ে দিও তোমার।
স্যার কাল এমনি মানে ওই আমাদের মানে এইচওডি স্যারের যে ক্লাসটা ছিলেন উনি বলেছেন ওটা নেবেন না, যেহেতু কাল ওই বোধহয় গুরু নানক বার্থডে আছে এই জন্য।
হ্যাঁ
আপনি কি
দেখো,
নেবেন?
আমি 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 বিষয়টা বলি। সেটা হচ্ছে তোমাদের তো আগের সপ্তাহে বেশ কয়েকটা ক্লাস হয়নি। আমি আগের সপ্তাহে আমি এক সোমবার দিন নিয়ে, মানে কালী পুজোর সপ্তাহটা সোমবার দিন নিয়ে ওটা করে দিয়েছিলাম। আগের সপ্তাহে ক্লাস হয়নি। তো যদি তোমরা কালকে করতে, আমার কোনো নিতে অসুবিধা নেই। তোমরা যদি কালকে তোমরা সবাই একমত হও, তাহলে আমি কালকে ক্লাস নেবো। 11:40 থেকে বোধহয় ফাঁকা আছে, তখন আমি ক্লাস নেবো। সেটা দেখো, তোমাকে আমাকে রাত পর্যন্ত জানিয়ে দিও, সেটা তোমরা নিজেরা ডিসিশন নাও, ঠিক আছে। আর
স্যার তাহলে কালকে 11:40 থেকেই নিয়ে নিন।
না, তোমাদের মনে হচ্ছে কেউ কেউ করতে চাইছে না। দেখো সেটা আমি জোর করতে পারি না, কারণ যেহেতু তোমার ছুটি
স্যার
আছে, ঠিক আছে।
আসলে ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে
হুম।
সোমবার থেকে যেহেতু মিড সেম না, ওই জন্য ভাবছি যে 2-3 দিন একটু যদি পড়ে নিই, তাহলে মিড সেমের পর আপনি না একটা নিয়ে নিতেন।
ঠিক আছে, সেটা ঠিক আছে, দেখো তাহলে
পড়াটা হয়নি তো ওই জন্য।
হুম। না, তাহলে সেটা সেক্ষেত্রে যদি কালকে তোমরা ক্লাস না করো তাহলে আজকে যতটুকু হলো তাহলে ততটুকু, মানে আগে যা হয়েছে সেখান থেকে আজকে পর্যন্ত পরীক্ষা হবে তোমাদের, ঠিক আছে? আর তোমাদের পরীক্ষার শিডিউলটা আমি তোমাদের পরে বলে দেবো একটা টাইম, তোমরা বলবে আমাকে যেটা তোমাদের ফাঁকা থাকবে আর কি। আর পরীক্ষা হচ্ছে তোমার ধরো 5টা কোশ্চেন করতে হবে 5 মার্কসের, ঠিক আছে? 4টে কোশ্চেন 5 মার্কস বা 5টা 4 মার্কসে বা 5টা 5x4 বা 4x5 যেটা হবে। আর এটা একটা জিনিস গেল। আজকে কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে মানে যেটা যে ইন্ট্রোডাকশন ক্লাস বা অবজেক্টে যেটা হলো, কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকলে বলতে হবে, কারণ এটা কিন্তু খুব বেসিক জায়গা, সেখানে না বুঝলে কিন্তু সমস্যা। Okay. So normally when you are writing the initializing the variable, it is a good practice for the programmer to initialize all the variable using the init. That will be the good practice. Okay. তোমাদের একটা লিঙ্ক তোমাদের শেয়ার করেছিলাম, সেটা দেখেছো তোমরা? একটা স্টুডেন্ট পেপার রিসার্চ পেপার কম্পিটিশন, একটা কম্পিটিশন ঠিক নয়, রিসার্চ কনফারেন্স একটা।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ স্যার।
কেউ কি দিচ্ছে তোমরা কেউ পেপার? যদি তোমরা কেউ ইন্টারেস্টেড থাকো তাহলে আমার সঙ্গে কন্ট্যাক্ট করতে পারো, ঠিক আছে? যদি কেউ ইন্টারেস্টেড থাকো, ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে, তাহলে আমি কোনো অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স ওয়েট করে অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা আমি তোমাদের লিঙ্কটা দিয়ে দিচ্ছি, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে আমাকে ফাইনালটা আমাকে কালকে জানিয়ে দিও, তাহলে আমাকে কালকে রাতে জানিয়ে দিও, ঠিক আছে? কালকে তোমরা করছো কি করছো না। যদি তোমরা না করো তাহলে আজকে পর্যন্ত ক্লাস, আর যদি কালকে ক্লাস করো তাহলে কালকে পর্যন্ত এটা হবে, সেটা হচ্ছে তোমাদের মিড টার্মের সিলেবাস হবে, ঠিক আছে?
স্যার আপনি এখনই জেনে নিন, মানে নালে তো
আমি তো
সবাই
সেটাই আমি তো মানে আমি তো সেটাই তো বুঝতে, মানে রেসপন্স তো দেখছি সবাই তো চুপচাপ করে আছে দেখছি, আমি সেই জন্য বলছি।
স্যার সবাই যা বলছে সেটা এখনই সবাই যেন আপনার সামনেই বলে দেয়, সেটাই ভালো হয় আর কি।
হ্যাঁ, আমিও বুঝতে পারছি, কারণ সিআর যে থাকে তার আবার সমস্যা হয়, সেটা আমি জানি, আমরা তো জানি এটা। আর মিড টার্মে প্রোগ্রাম গুলো দেখবে, যা প্রোগ্রাম করেছি থিওরি পার্টটাও দেখবে আর তার সঙ্গে প্রোগ্রাম গুলো দেখবে, যে ধরনের প্রোগ্রাম করেছি। এক্সাক্ট ওই প্রোগ্রাম হচ্ছে থাকবে না।
স্যার আপনি পাইথনের যে বইটা পাঠিয়েছেন ওটার নাম কি?
কোন বইটা পাঠিয়েছি বলো তো?
না বললেন না এক্ষুনি।
আমি সফটওয়্যার ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং এর বই পাঠিয়েছিলাম, মার্জিন মালে আর ইউএমএল এর বই পাঠিয়েছিলাম মনে হয়। দেখো প্রথম দিকে তোমাদের কাকে পাঠিয়েছিলাম, সিআর কে তো নাকি তোমাদের?
স্যার এখানে লিঙ্ক দিয়েছিলেন ক্লাসেই।
হ্যাঁ,
আচ্ছা,
রাজীব মালের একটা সফটওয়্যার ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং পাঠিয়েছেন। পাইথন তো আপনি বলে দিয়েছিলেন
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
যে কোনো বই পড়ে নিতে।
পাইথন অসুবিধা নেই, পাইথনে প্রচুর দেবে বই পাবে, অসুবিধা নেই। আমি যেটা তোমার বইটা ফলো করছি যেটা রিমা থ্রেজা, এটা মনে হয় শর্ট কপি পাবে না মনে হয়, দেখবে শর্ট করে আছে কিনা। এটা অক্সফোর্ড ইউনিভার্সিটি প্রেসের রিমা থ্রেজা, ঠিক আছে? অক্সফোর্ড প্রেসে, ঠিক আছে? তোমরা মানে পার্টিকুলার ওই বইটাই ফলো করতে হবে এরকম না, আমি তো এগুলো কোনো স্পেসিফিক কোনো প্রবলেমটা করাচ্ছি না, এগুলো তুমি যে কোনো জায়গাতেই পাবে, এটা এরকম নয় যে পার্টিকুলার। তো ওএসি সিএসপি সিএসসি 521 না? তোমাদের কবে কলেজ কিছু আসতে হবে বলেছে কিছু?
No, sir.
আমাদের তো নোটিশ দিয়েছিল যে ওই 4th সেমিস্টার হবে, তো পিপিএস স্যার বললো যে তারপর কয়েকদিন দেখা হবে, তারপর আমাদের আসতে হবে।
না না, আমি কলেজে গেছিলাম, তো ম্যাম বললেন যে 4-5 ডিসেম্বর করে খোলার কথা।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে তো ভালো ব্যাপার।
তাই বললো, একদিন দেখবে তারপর।
তো ভালো ব্যাপার, তাহলে তোমাদের অফলাইনে পরীক্ষা হবে তাহলে, যা মনে হচ্ছে। অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা দিলাম লিঙ্ক, অফলাইনে পরীক্ষা হবে তাহলে মনে হয়। ডিসেম্বর মাসে যদি খুলে যায় তাহলে অফলাইন পরীক্ষা হবে।
স্যার তাহলে কেউ যখন কিছু বলছে না তখন আপনি বলুন যে আপনি কি করবেন।
আমি তো পুরোপুরি ভাবে তো আমি তোমাদের একটু স্বাধীনতা দিচ্ছি তোমাদের, তোমরা আমাকে, আমি কালকে ফ্রি আছি, যদি তোমরা, আমি বাড়িতেই থাকবো, যদি তোমরা বলে যে, যদি বলে সেকেন্ড হাফে ফার্স্ট হাফে করবো না, সেকেন্ড হাফে করবো, তাতে আমার কোনো অসুবিধা নেই। আমি গতকাল আমি ক্লাস নিতাম, অসুবিধা ছিল না, তুমি আমাকে ফোন করলে আমি নিতাম, কিন্তু আমি 8:30 পর্যন্ত ওয়েট করছিলাম, তাই এবার তারপরে আমি, তুমি কিছু বলোনি যখন, দিয়ে তখন ঠিক আছে, আর টাইমটা তখন আর অত তাড়াতাড়ি হতো না আর কি।
না স্যার, আসলে আমাকে স্মিতা ম্যাম তো সকালে জানিয়েছেন, আমি আপনাকে বললাম না যে ম্যাম আমাকে সকালেই
সেটা ঠিক
জানান।
আছে, না আমি ওই জন্য বলছি আমার কোনো অসুবিধা নেই, বা আমি আমি এই কারণে কালকে নেবো বলছিলাম, যেহেতু তো তোমাদের একটু সিলেবাসটা গিয়ে যদিও তোমরা বলো যে মিড টার্মে প্রিপারেশন নিতে সুবিধা হবে, তাতে অসুবিধা কিছু নেই, তোমরা নাও পরের সপ্তাহে আমাকে দিও। আমরা যদি কলেজ যেতে না হয়, এখন তো আমি বুঝতে পারছি না, সোমবার থেকে কলেজ যাবো, এবার বুঝতে পারছি না কিভাবে কি হবে, কারণ ফাইনাল ইয়ারকে আসতে বলেছে, এবার আমাদের কি অনলাইনে, কলেজ থেকে কি অনলাইন ক্লাস নেবো নাকি বাড়ি থেকে কি করবো সেটা আমি বুঝতে পারছি না, মানে আমাদের অনেক ফ্যাকাল্টির কাছে এখন সেটা ব্যাপারটা ক্লিয়ার হয়নি আর কি। ঠিক আছে, কি হবে না দেখা যাক কি হবে। ঠিক আছে,
স্যার তাহলে
কালকে তাহলে থাক তাহলে, কেউই যখন রাজি হচ্ছে না থাক তাহলে।
আচ্ছা স্যার ঠিক আছে, তাহলে মিড সেমের পরেই।
নিশ্চয় মনে হয় এই উইকে, পরের উইকটা, তাই তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আসলে মিড সেমের কবে কি রুটিন হয় আমি তখন জানি না, আমি রুটিনটা পেলে আপনাকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো।
না রুটিন আমার মনে হয় রুটিন আলাদা করে হবে না কিছু, কারণ যেহেতু এটা তো অনলাইনই।
হ্যাঁ, আমাদের রুটিন হয়ও না, আমাদের ওই একটা টাইম স্প্যান মানে দিয়ে দেওয়া হয় যে যেদিন নিতে চান আর কি।
না না, এই মিড টার্মে মানে অনলাইন মোডে যখন মিড টার্মটা হচ্ছে আর কি, তখন ওইভাবেই হচ্ছে, কোনো সব ডিপার্টমেন্টই মোটামুটি তাই হচ্ছে আর কি। সিএসসি ক্ষেত্রে তাই হয়েছে যে স্লট ফাঁকা থাকলে নিয়ে নাও, কারণ আলাদা করে ওই মানে রুটিন বার করে স্পেসিফিক ভাবে কিছু হচ্ছে না। তো যদি নেক্সট উইকে হয় তাহলে সেটা তো নিশ্চয়ই অনলাইনই হবে পরীক্ষা, অফলাইনে পরীক্ষা কোনোভাবেই পসিবল নয় 11 তারিখ। তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে ওইভাবেই স্লট আমাকে সেটা বলবে একদিন, আমি তো তোমাদের সিলেবাস
হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা, আমি আপনাকে তাহলে আজকে অবধি যা হলো সেটাই সিলেবাস।
হ্যাঁ প্রথম থেকে যা পড়েছি আজকে অবধি সিলেবাস, আর
ঠিক
অফলাইন বা অনলাইন যাই হোক, কিন্তু যেহেতু তোমার সিলেবাসটা পুরোটাই কভার হবে আর কি, আশা করা যাচ্ছে পুরোটাই কভার হয়ে যাবে, তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে মানে ভালো করে তোমার প্র্যাকটিস করবে, এটাই আমি বারবার বলছি আর কি, নাহলে কিন্তু সমস্যা হবে। ঠিক আছে,
ঠিক আছে। হ্যাঁ স্যার ঠিক আছে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
ঠিক আছে।
Thank you, sir.
হুম।
থ্যাংক ইউ।